Deb Cooper here with another video remake from a prior broadcast on my BlogTalk radio show. This one is from 2011, and in this broadcast I discuss the type of guys that we might call cheap or stingy, and a tightwad and a Scrooge, that kind of thing. A lot of you women will go out with guys like this. You even marry the guy, and then you wonder why the relationship is so one-sided. I will give you my theories on why that is and why these guys are not good prospects for future committed relationships. So I hope you enjoy it. And remember, as usual, as I've said several times, this was my phone number back in 2011. You'll hear it shouted out to call into the show. Do not call that number. I don't know who has it now, but it will never reach me. And so, that was my number back in 2011. Remember that. Do not call the number. Just listen to the video, and I hope that you come to some realizations and some determinations about the kinds of guys that you should invest in.
So we're talking about cheap men and dating and how women relate to cheap men. Do women want to be bothered with a cheap man? And how, if you end up with a man who starts off being cheap and stingy, how that is going to play out in a romantic relationship. This is very important for women to understand, because I see a correlation there. I see that a man who starts off being very cheap and very stingy with his money is giving you a sign that he is going to be stingy, cheap, and hold on very tight to anything where he is required to give to you. Now, it starts with dating, and it ends with his time, his heart, his affection, his energy, thoughtfulness, and consideration. That's what my stance is, and I'm going to challenge anybody to tell me that I'm wrong, because I have a lot of examples as we go through the show tonight to prove it. I got a lot of stuff to back it up. Now, if you have some questions, comments, or you want to share a story of cheapness on your own, I welcome your call. The number is 347-327-9215. That's 347-327-9215. Press 1 on your keypad. It'll alert me that you want your call taken live on the air, and I'll be happy to do so. So let's get started. Let's begin by defining what stingy is. So, I go to the dictionary. You don't even have to look in the dictionary anymore these days. You just go to a website. It's just so handy, so convenient. So here it is, stingy. Tight, stingy, parsimonious, miserly, mean, close. Those are all synonyms. They all mean that someone is reluctant to part with their money or goods. Stingy, the most general of these terms, means unwilling to share, give, or spend possessions or money. Parsimonious describes an extreme stinginess arising from unusual or excessive frugality. Miserly stresses a pathological pleasure in acquiring and hoarding money that is so powerful that even necessities are only grudgingly purchased. Mean suggests a small-minded, ignoble, petty stinginess leading to miserable, cheerless living. Close implies extreme caution in spending money, even an aversion to spending. So as you see, those are all very kind of adjectives. So, as we look at those kinds of behaviors and attitudes, do we want that in a partner? I mean, I can see how some of that might be beneficial to a certain extent, because, you don't want two people in a relationship that are going to just be spending money like crazy. I mean, there has to be some kind of budget established, and, it has to be maintained so you can save money for your children's college education and to purchase a home maybe, or, for home repairs or expansion, maybe new cars that you need, something like that. I mean, there has to be some kind of organization to handling the money. But this is not organization. This takes it to a whole new level. And I think that in many instances when women don't pay attention to it and they think that, that the guy is just being a little frugal. They say, oh, I don't mind paying my share, this and that. What you're really doing, ladies, is setting yourself up. That's what I'm saying. You're setting yourself up to be in a situation with a cheap man, and you will never feel like you're really loved and treated special because he's never going to give you that kind of time or attention and devotion and consideration that you're looking for. It's not going to happen, and it starts from the very first date. Now, I'm going to go into that a little more. So let me read you some examples. Some women shared with me some stories. This lady says, let me scroll up. I have this on my computer, so let me scroll up a little bit. I've been married for almost 2 years, and we've been together for 3. Last year for Christmas, I spent $2,000 on him. I was like, wow, that's a lot. He bought me $100 worth of junk that to this day I don't use. For his birthday last year, I took him to a show, and we had a nice dinner. For my birthday last year, he bought himself a phone watch and didn't have any money left over to buy me anything. We didn't go to dinner, have a cake, do anything for my birthday. Mind you, it's just the 2 of us. We don't have any family to speak of, so if he doesn't do anything for me, I get nothing. If I don't do anything for him, he gets nothing. It's just the 2 of us in this world. That's why I try to make him happy on Christmas and especially on his birthday. So, she says, she just started crying, and she feels very unloved and uncared for by this guy. And we all love to receive gifts on special occasions. That's nothing unusual to expect. I mean, spending $2,000 might be a little much, but depending upon the level of their income, that kind of thing is relative. So even that in itself is not necessarily an off-putting or wrong thing. It just depends on the salary and income of the individuals in question. So this other woman says, you think your husband's selfish? Let me tell you something. My husband takes me out on special occasions, but only to places that he likes. My first Mother's Day was spent at his favorite store and restaurant. My birthday was another of his favorite restaurants and lingerie that wouldn't fit on my leg. For Christmas, we drove 1,200 miles to visit my family, but he also pushed me to the floor when we got home. The reality is that I am Christian and invested in this relationship. No amount of stupidity or selfishness on his part will make me give it up. Unfortunately, he knows this. And so she feels like she made this bed, so she's going to stay in it. She said she once asked him if he would like to be married to someone like himself, and he flat out told me, hell no. Said I was an idiot for not making myself happy. So that day, I took his car. I drove straight to the airport. Months later, I came home and asked him with tear-streaked cheeks why he didn't go after me. He said, it's about time you did something for yourself. How's that for selfish and downright weird? So you see, these women, the guys, I believe, exhibited some signs of this kind of almost pathological selfishness early on in the relationships. I don't know what these women were thinking, why they didn't pay attention to it. Or did they think it would get better after they got married? Did they think it was just momentary? I don't really know the answer to that question. But I do know, and I'm telling you, ladies, I'm sticking to this because this is my premise. I believe this with everything in my heart. If a man is too damn cheap to take you out on a date and spend money on from day one, he wants to take you, as Richard said, on a walk in the park and spend $1 for a bottle of water, and you think that's okay, you are setting yourself up for drama. A man must be required to give to you. He's got to be required to do that. You must set the standards for how you expect to be treated in your relationships. And if you let a guy get away with treating you like a roommate, he's going to always treat you like one. And the feeling that you want to have of being loved and cherished, you will never, ever, ever get it. You're never going to get it. You guys have got to stop selling yourself cheap and giving these spoiled brat men all these options to treat you like crap. I don't understand this mentality that women have to so willing to give men what they want. Do you guys think that these guys are going to run away or something, that if you don't give them what they want and go Dutch and pay for them and pay for yourself and do all this stuff, that he is going to leave you, he's not going to want you, that you can't get you can't get a man or something? I don't understand what the thinking is here. So maybe somebody can enlighten me, because I did hear some women say that, they were fine with that. They would be happy with going on a walk, that they think that's a great date. I was shaking my head saying, these are some dumb people. But, you guys maybe have some really good justification for that. I'd like to hear your thoughts, why you say that that's a good date and why you're okay with that. The number is 347-327-9215, and I would just love it if you would call in and share your thoughts with me on this dating thing, because I just don't believe it. To further that, I put up a survey. In preparation for this show, I put together a little survey that I put up on my website, which is survivingdating.com. If you are near your computer, you can log on and you can actually see it there. You can see the results that I'm going to go over with you right now. The survey title, the survey question is, what do you think is the ideal amount to spend on a first date? Now, this is ideal. We're going to assume that some people will spend more, some people will spend less. I wanted to kind of get a consensus from a majority of people. Now, we got, I just put it up a few days ago. I got a total of 65 votes, which is pretty good. The top answer was the $51 to $75 range. That range received 21 votes, which was 32% of the total responses. And by far and away, that was the winner, $51 to $75. Okay, now hold that thought. Keep that in mind, $51 to $75. Second was 21 to 50. That got 15 votes, 23%. The third, which was I was really surprised, was that there should be no limit on the spending, 14 votes. So you see number 2 and number 1 were only 1 vote different, 22% there. Then we got down to the cheap folks, $0 to $20, got 8 votes. That was 12% of the total. 5 votes was given to $76 to $100, and only 2 people voted for more than $100 to be spent on a first date. Now, those people that voted for the 76 to 150 range all lived on the East Coast, and from what I understand, most of those cities have been pretty high prices for restaurant shows and things like that. So I would imagine that that would probably be in line with the economy in that area. So there you go. The number 1 vote, though, $51 to $75. So please explain to me how a guy taking you on a walk in the park and getting you a $1 bottle of water, and if you went to Costco and you showed up with them 2 Kirkland bottles, he spent, 49 cents, so $1 total for both, and you think that's okay. What's going on here? What is he showing you by doing that? What is it that he is communicating to you? I don't see anything. I want to hear from women, though, who hopefully some of them will be on the show tonight that thought that was okay. I want to hear from them right here, right now, what they think is the logic behind that. So let me give a few more stories here. We'll go on and talk about share some of these other stories that I got from women about their selfish men. This chick says, my boyfriend and I met 5 months ago. We're both professionally employed. We care a lot about each other. The problem I have is that he seems to be very stingy. He always looks for the cheapest form of entertainment, often preferring to sit at home watching television, and is always looking for freebies from friends, which I find embarrassing. He has started asking me for gas money, or if I ask to go to a movie, he asks me if I have money to pay for it. I don't expect him to buy me presents, and I am more than prepared to sometimes pay when we go out, but it seems I am expected to pay for everything. My friend says that he is spoiled and selfish. Do you think she could be right? What do you think? I think it's very unfair if he expects her to always pay for the gas and the entertainment. I mean, I know some couples who, like I said, they're together, they're saving money for a purpose, like a vacation or a wedding, whatever. They might contribute jointly to their entertainment and, switch off with driving or paying for gas and parking or something along those lines. But, the expense in a situation like that is more equally shared because they're pooling their money anyway. They're a couple. They've mapped out a path and a plan for their lives that includes one another on a long-term basis. But we're not talking about that. We're not talking about couples. We're talking about the first date, or at least the first 2 or 3. And, I'm not seeing where many women are demanding to be treated with that level of respect. Now, here we go with this excuse guys give. Oh, we hear this all the time. Well, you women, women's lib. You women's lib. That feminism, it killed chivalry. Chivalry is dead, and you feminists killed it. So you wanted to have rights like a man. You pay your own way. Oh, really? That's so. But you still want us to treat you like the man, and you still expect to, have services and sex and to be massaged on and loved on and all the stuff that women provide men in a relationship. Oh, you still want all that, but you don't want to give anything to get it. That's what they're saying, ladies. That's basically what they're saying. They want you to give to them, do for them, be there for them, be what's the word? Exclusive to them. And all of that. They want that almost right from the beginning. They don't want any competition from any other man. They don't want to hear about you going out with anyone else because then you're labeled a gold digger. You're just using them if you do that. But they're not giving you anything to show how much they're interested in you, that they want to be with you on a long-term basis, that they find you fascinating, or that you're precious to them. Oh, no signs of any of that. It's just a demand that you give up everything that you have going on in your life to meet their needs. If that's not the most selfish mess I've ever heard, I don't know what is. And that tends to go along with this mentality that women need to step up to the plate and become, financial participants in the first and second and third dates. And I don't see that. I see if you can't be a man, and that's no sign of manhood, you've selected a woman to be a possible mate for you, then you make it happen. That means you select the place where you're going to take her. If you fit something into your budget, it doesn't have to be super expensive. Something that fits into your budget, but you pay. You don't ask her for a dime. And that shows her something in the traditional dating sense. If you're not willing to do that, then you need to stay at home with your remote in your hand and date yourself. That's my stance. The call-in number is 347-327-9215, 347-327-9215. It's the call-in number. If you want your call taken on the air, press 1 on your phone, and it will alert me on the switchboard that you want your call taken on the air. Otherwise, I'll just assume you're listening over your phone because a lot of people do that, and, they're away from their computer or traveling or whatever, and they can't look at the computer, so they listen over the phone. All right, caller 918. What's your question or comment?
This is Ivan. How you doing?
Hey, Ivan. What's going on?
Oh, I'm listening to one of your old man-bashing subjects again. No, I'm just joking.
Ooh, those are fighting words.
I can fight, though. I can fight with the best. I'm just saying.
So what you have to say about this? Do you think these are cheap guys trying to get away with $1 bottle of water for a date?
It depends. I'm going to tell you something about that. On a serious note, it depends on the people. I don't think that it says nothing about a man's character if he don't spend a whole lot of money on no date. I don't. It depends on. It depends on how creative a man is. Let me tell you what I've found out. I think that a lot of times men, and I have 5 sisters, so, and I've been around my sisters and her friends, their friends, so I can speak on this because I've listened for years. And one of the things that I discovered is that sometimes men have this perception that women want all this fluff and bluff on the first date, and that ain't necessarily true.
Mm-hmm.
It ain't always true. Now, you do have some gold diggers, but I think what I've discovered is it is a thought that a man might put into something, and he might not spend a dime or might spend a minimal. It's the thought and the way that he does something is what gets women's attention more than what he actually spends on doing something. For instance,
Tell it, Ivan.
I remember.
Preach, brother, preach. I said preach.
But my point is, though, but the woman has to be, just like the man has to be sensible, the woman does too. I don't think it's always should be just on the man. The woman needs to be sensible as well. Because here's what I'm saying. I took a woman, this is what I did before, and she absolutely loved it. And I'm going to tell you who I got the idea from. When you hear it, they're going to trip you out when I tell you who I got the idea from. But I took her on a walk in the park. This is our first time we were getting to know each other. Took her for a walk in the park and bought her some ice cream, and she was like a little girl in a candy store. She said that was the best first date she ever had with anybody because it was so simple. There was no pressure. You see what I'm saying? Because we didn't go to this big extravagant dinner and all that stuff like that. We walked in the park, and I bought her some ice cream.
Okay.
And she was cool. Now, listen to what I'm saying. Now, guess who I got that idea from?
Who?
That was Barack Obama and Michelle Obama's.
Oh, well, that's fine. But the whole thing is, that's fine. If that's spontaneous, that's what you do. It works for both of you. But what I'm saying is, we have a contingent of men out here who insist that they're not going to spend more than $1 on a date.
More than $1, you say?
That's what I'm telling you, dude. $1 bottle of water. That's all they want to get. They want to walk in the park and give the lady $1 bottle of water.
I don't know about that. I think that's a little exaggerated. I don't know about that.
No, a man said this on the air. I have the recording.
One man, though. You can't say one. You can't take what one man say and engage.
Ivan, there are guys that called in and agreed with him. Okay, so I'm not coming out of the side of my neck with this. This was a consensus. A bottle of water. They don't want to buy a woman a bottle of water. No, they do. That's all they want to get her. They want to spend $1 on the date.
Well, I don't know about that. That's not me.
Well,
they need to choose better people who they date there, because that's not something that I would do. Now I'll tell you, when I was growing, one thing my mother taught us, because my father had girls. My mother didn't have any girls. My father had girls by his first wife, but my mother had all boys. And one of the things that she taught us as boys is never let the girls pay for it. I'm going to tell you what I used to do. I had this girl that had a job, and I always had more money than me. She would have $50 or $60 in her pocket. I might have $15 or $20. When my $20 was gone, the date was over. She didn't spend nothing. I ain't allowed to spend a dime. And she wanted to. You don't let her spend nothing, they'll respect you more. And I found out she was right.
All right. Well, let me take this next caller. I got another call holding, but you made some great points, and I like the ice cream idea. At least it's better than a bottle of water. Thanks,
that's how
Ivan.
she was cool, though. She was cool with that, though.
That's fine. That's what I'm saying. She's fine. That's cool. That's good. But I'll check with you in a minute.
All right.
Okay, caller 718. What's your question or comment?
Hi. I was just calling in because I saw the title of the show, and I guess I just wanted to say like my story as far as like when my wife and I, when we went on our first date, what I did was I actually took her bowling, and the thing is that we had a good time, and I guess what my issue is that, okay, first of all, what you were saying about whoever the caller was regarding the, kicking out only $1 for a bottle of water, that's ridiculous. That's crazy. However, at the same time, I think that what most women have to realize is that just because a guy's taking you out on a date, that doesn't mean you have the right to just go bonkers as far as like, okay, well, he's got to be kicking out like 100 or 200 or whatever amount of dollars. Like, and you made a point as far as like, do it within reason. So one of the things that like I kind of wish maybe I heard this like during my dating days is that if I'm the one that's paying for the date, then I should say like, okay, here's where we're going. and that way there's a little bit more control as far as like, where we're going. So instead of, let's say, I'm trying to think of like an expensive restaurant. Like I live in New York City, so like there was a restaurant.
Ouch.
Yeah, so like one expensive place, but I think they closed it down. It's a place called Tavern on the Green. So
I remember that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So if someone was like saying, okay, I want you to take me to Tavern on the Green, come on, that's like ridiculous. Like unless I'm making like serious money, then maybe. But something a little bit more realistic as far as like for a first date. Like I said, in my case with my wife and myself, maybe go bowling, or like the gentleman who called before me where he was saying like, walking through the park and getting ice cream. I think that's just great, and that's something that doesn't cost a lot of money, and it also shows how creative you are as far as like a first date. But, what I would just suggest as far as, to women is just like, if when a guy asks you out on a first date, don't use it as an excuse like, okay, well, he can take me anywhere I want. I can order anything I want. Keep it within reason, especially if, like, in the case, like, when my wife and I were going out, we were still in college. And, thankfully, my wife was very understanding where she realized that, okay, he does not have a lot of money, so that doesn't give me the license to go crazy. Like, another example is like, as we were going out and as we were dating, and like when we met, what I would do is, because I was like, I didn't have that much money, and we used to have like a cafeteria in the school we went to. I would get her like Taco Bell, just get her like a soft shell taco and get her a drink. And I mean, I was so stretched for money, like I wouldn't even get myself a drink. Like, I'd get her a drink, she'd have the taco, I'd have the taco, and that's it. And then, like, on special occasions, like, we would kind of upgrade it to, like, a burrito. Now, some women will look at that like, oh, that's just being cheap. But, my wife told me, and I've asked her years later, like, what you thought about it. And she was just like, look, I was happy that, I was getting fed, but she also told me, like, I understood that, look, we were both in college. And it would have been ridiculous to expect you to, like, go, like, say to, I don't know, like Red Lobster, for lunch or something like that.
Gotcha. Well, and I did make an exception because, like I said earlier at the earlier part of the show, a lot of the amount that one would expect to spend on a date is directly related to income level. So a man that's a CEO with, a salary of $1.5 million, for him, $400 or $500 on a date is nothing. For a college student, $20 is a lot. So, it's all relative to where you are in life and what your particular fun situation is looking like. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying this man that I was on the phone is a guy in his 40s saying he's going to spend $1 on a date. And I'm like, you dude, you're going to be dateless forever. Nobody's going to want to go out with you. Are you kidding me? So, but I like the idea of what you said, like bowling. I like those kind of active dates because it takes the pressure off. You actually get to do something, like going to games, for instance. And it can be a college game. It could be, say someone has a child, a kid's high school game. It could be a professional game. Maybe you got tickets from your boss or something. You didn't really spend any money for the tickets, but you still have to pay for parking and, get some snacks or whatever. And but it's fun. I mean, it gives you something else to do besides just looking at each other and trying to come up with conversation with a complete stranger. That's, that gets kind of like nerve-wracking sometimes. Hold on one second. Booby,
sure, no problem.
You can call in, but if you do that chat thing that you do, I'm hanging up on you. Okay, now back to our regularly scheduled programming. No, but I like everything that you had to say, and I think so. I take it you and the bowling lady ended up getting married.
Yep. We got married. We've been married for 9 years, and we have a daughter. And one of the things I definitely want to pass on to my daughter, like when, obviously when she gets older and dating, is just let her know that as far as, you're right, like, you don't sell yourself short. Like, I don't want her to think that, okay, she's worth just a bottle of water, like the story you just said. But at the same time, like when you go out with a guy, and especially like you said, like, keep in mind what his financial situation is like. Don't think that, just because he's taking you out automatically that means, okay, hey, let's go out to Tavern on the Green or something equivalent to that. Like,
gotcha.
Keep it within reason. And also remember that, like, just as you're kind of doing just as a woman is doing an evaluation on a man on a date, it also goes both ways. Like, we guys, we do look at, like, say, okay, if she's ordering, like, crazy things on the menu that's going to, like, really add up, it's like we're saying to ourselves, all right, that's it. That there's not going to be a second date, But I do agree as far as, like, for the first date, like, I totally agree that a guy should pay for it. But I think if a woman wants to, like, really impress that guy on the first date, like, just even as it's just, like, say, like, you know what, let me cover the tip. And the thing is, like, a true guy is going to, if, like, he really digs that woman, he's going to say, like, you know what, don't worry, baby, I got it. But that's going to also impress the guy, saying, like, wow, she was willing to, like, try to contribute to the tip. But like I said, if he really digs that woman, he's going to say, like, no, baby, you put that away. I got this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Well, I am so happy you saw the show and called in. What's your name?
Oh, my name is Leon.
Well, Leon, good to meet you. I hope you become a regular listener. This is our new spot, just first show of the year and the first show at this new time slot. So hopefully you can join us again.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, let me explain something, because the question came to me. They wanted to know if evidently the guys feel like if they pay, they should have the right to decide where the date takes place. And I agree. I totally agree with that. But with a slight little caveat there, let me add this. A true gentleman is just not going to be a total control freak and say, well, we going here, we going there. What he will do, especially if there's going to be food involved, the polite thing to do would be to ask the lady, what kind of food do you like or prefer? Now, you may find out that she's vegetarian. You may find out that she hates Chinese food but loves Italian. You may find out that she has a really bad food allergy to nuts and can't eat anything with nuts in it, or fish, for instance. And maybe you were planning to take her to a seafood restaurant and you, like, have to make a quick U-turn. But, see, you would never know that if you didn't ask her. And so, this is where communication comes in. I think a lot of people don't communicate well. We've gotten into this, these little cryptic words and abbreviations. Everybody's texting and doing all this weird typing and language. You guys have to talk to each other. So it would be very, very important, I think, to say, well, I was thinking that we should go out to dinner next Friday evening. Where would you like to go? What kind of food would you like to have? That gives you an idea of, what kind of things she likes. Then you take that information, you do a little research, and figure out what kind of place you can take her to that will please her, that is within your budget. You see what I mean? So with a little conversation, you're going to be happy because you're going to be spending what you can afford to spend, and she'll be happy because you listened to her and you're taking her someplace based on what did she the likes that she and preferences that she communicated to you. That is a win-win situation, and all it took is a couple of sentences. So that's what I'm saying. There's not enough communication here, and dating is really not that hard. The whole purpose of going out on a date with someone is to set aside time from your very busy life, and they set aside time from theirs, for you two to get together and isolate yourself and to have an opportunity to exchange information, ask questions, get answers, find out what you have in common, if anything, and if there's something there that you two can build on to create possibly a loving, long-term romantic relationship like our previous caller. It all started with going bowling. I love that. I love bowling. I think it's fun. I bowl gutter balls, but it's still fun anyway. So, that's all it takes. And I think a lot of guys are not taught to be creative with their dates. They're only taught to take women, that they think women only want to go to expensive places. That's not true. What a woman wants to do, everybody has a stressed out life. People want fun. So anything that you can think of that would be a good time where there's laughter and joking and giggling and teasing and something to do besides sit there looking at each other is good. I mean, if you find out that she likes to play tennis, you like to play tennis, well, let's go play tennis. We both like that. You could do 4 doubles or whatever with another couple, or some people you meet at the tennis courts, whatever you want to do. Bowling's good, racquetball is good. I don't know. What else do people do? Bike riding, all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of things you can do together that don't involve sitting up in some stuffy restaurant and spending a lot of money, okay? So that is my explanation for that. If you guys have questions or comments, then give a call, 347-327-9215, and I'll be happy to pick up your call. Now, someone's in this chat room saying, women don't know what they want. Yes, they do. They just don't want what you want. That's all. It's very simple. So let me go on and read a couple of more stories here from my notes the women sent me. This lady says, I'm married to a man who is so selfish and arrogant. He is always right, to a point where I have just decided to say I'm sorry, even if I know I'm right. He is so stingy and controlling. I just don't know what to do. We went to his mate's wedding, and I was so embarrassed because he didn't give the couple anything, and he has plenty of money in his account. On the other hand, he forced me to talk to his ex-girlfriend because he wants me to be friends with her. I'm getting really angry just writing this. What do you think I should do? And, some women wrote in, there were some stories, that people were saying, well, black men are this and black men are that. Well, I do know that there are some, cheap brothers out there. However, this is not limited to African Americans. The lady that just wrote that note is Indian. I got notes down here. This one chick is Jewish, and she's talking about, Jewish men are very cheap. And this other lady saying she's she's Latina, and her husband is Mexican, and she's talking about how cheap and controlling he is. So I don't think this is a race-related thing. I think this is a personality thing. And because I'm going to read you the letter from the lady who's, the Jewish lady. She says, I've dated 3 different Jewish men. I must say the ethnicity, but one did not want to buy me orange juice, which was $1. And he wanted me to pay for his movie theater ticket, and he is the one that asked me out. He managed to wrangle his way in free. Another one wanted to date in his workplace, not going out, no coffee or anything, didn't want to spend a dime. I'm not asking anything expensive, but I mean a cup of water or something. Another guy had a really good job, but he wanted to stay at home and watch DVDs without going out. Are all Jewish men this selfish or downright mean? So you see what I mean? It's like each woman of whatever ethnic group, she tends to date within her ethnic group, so she's going to perceive that the men in her ethnic group are cheap. But from my position, of course, because I'm interacting with all these women, I'm seeing the same complaints from a wide variety of women of all different ethnicities, and I'm not saying that, I can't say that it's limited to any particular race of men. I'm saying it's a certain personality type. And what I'm saying to ladies is if you see this, you're not going to be the, buy me this, buy me that type of woman. You just want to be treated nicely and with consideration, like he thinks highly of you and that he thinks, that you're a beautiful person. He wants to be around you, that you're precious to him. And, as a relationship would develop, that is what you would expect to see happen. And if you don't see that, you don't see any signs of that kind of concern and willingness to please, even if he's only spending $10, we're talking about the attitude. We're talking about the behavior, his mentality. That's what I'm saying you should be looking at. And like I said, it's all based on his particular budget. You know, some guy who's got his own business and he's making all kind of grand theft money versus a little college student burdened down with student loans and trying to pay his tuition by himself with his 2 part-time jobs. You know, they're going to be coming from completely different financial places. You have to take that into consideration. So, you know, but it's all in the thought and the behavior and the care that the man puts into developing an evening or afternoon that will be special for you. That's what we're looking for. And if you have a guy who is too cheap, he's too stingy, he's not going to do it, he's not going to spend the time, he's not going to spend the energy, the effort, he has no interest, he just wants you to show up and, so he can try to get in your pants or whatever his goal is, you leave him alone. There's plenty of men in this world, in spite of all the media hype that there's a shortage of men. There really isn't. And, they all are going to have a fault. They're all going to have something about them that's going to make you roll your eyes or want to bop them upside the head. That we can't get away from that. But what you do is you just keep dating until you find a guy whose irritating things you can stand. Well, he may make you roll your eyes, but maybe it's only once a week instead of every hour. Well, you probably can work with that. That'd probably be all right. So that's what I'm saying. And don't sell yourself short. Don't accept any guy who demands that you pay half and all this kind of stuff. That is a man who's going to be miserly throughout your relationship. And let me tell you how that plays out, because I've seen it. They are a tit-for-tat person. Every single thing they do for you, they are looking to see what they're getting back. And it better be as much or more to whatever this magical, mystical, unknown scale is that they have in their head. So, if he spends $1 doing something for you, he change your tire or something, well, now he wants something back in return. He's got like a measuring chart, a scoreboard of action. So there's no opportunity for you to do something big for him that would, encompass all those small, thoughtful things he did for you in one fell swoop. Oh, no. He wants it now. And he's just constantly measuring, critical withholding of emotion and time. They tend to be very controlling of what you do and try to tell you how to do it and, what you shouldn't do or must do. They're very demanding, some of them. So, these are all things that you need to watch out for. And if you see a man like that, don't think that you loving him is going to change him. Don't think that you having sex with him is going to make it better. Don't think having his baby is going to make him better. He is a knucklehead, so you need to leave him alone. That, your relationship will never, ever, ever be one where you're feeling taken care of emotionally and spiritually and mentally. He's not going to do that for you. He's going to abandon you and stay within his own selfish little realm, because the only person he really cares about is himself. The number to call in is 347-327-9215. That's 347-327-9215. Okay, let's see. Someone said, I heard from the ladies, don't sell yourself short, meaning a man should lead with his wallet and try to please a woman, and all she needs to do is sit there. That's where guys lose. Aaron said this. That is not what I meant, Aaron, at all. Boy, people just totally misunderstand what I'm saying here. Let me briefly go over this again. Don't sell yourself short means if you have a man who is not giving to you, I just went through this, emotionally, mentally, physically, he's not doing it for you. He's very selfish. He's not going to take care of you in any way, shape, or form. That's the kind of guy who, when you're sick, he's going to step over you, when you're sitting there throwing up, and step over you and go to the movies or go hang out with his buddies. He's not going to change his plans to sit there and take care of you because you got sick. It's like, that's your problem. I'm not sick. And out the door he goes. That's what I'm talking about. And that kind of behavior and attitude is demonstrated early on in the relationship, and you ladies need to pay attention to that. So that's what I mean. You want to have a man who thinks about you and, meeting your needs and taking care of you just like you will be thinking about and taking care of him. There has to be reciprocation on an emotional level, not just financial. Okay, let's see here. 918. You have a question or comment?
Yeah, this is Ivan again. I got two comments. I think the thing that you're saying, I think the men have to be just as aware and have to look for the same thing as well. I don't think it's just something that a woman needs to look for. A man needs to have, he needs to realize that if he ain't getting all of what you talking about a woman should get, he should bounce too.
Well, I never said he shouldn't. But the title of the show is Cheap Men.
But I'm saying though, I'm just saying, and here's another thing I want to say. I'm gonna ask you this: just if a man is a millionaire, for instance, I make almost now. I'm almost 6 figures a month now. So just because I make almost 6 figures a month, does it mean that I should spend $400 or $500 on a day just because I make close to 6 figures a month?
No, that's up to you. But what I'm saying, you have the ability to. Whereas no. That's not what I said. You guys are taking everything I said out of context. What I said is a man who has more money, his idea of what is a pricey date is going to be different than a struggling college student. A man is all based on how much money the man has. A man who is a multimillionaire is not going to be that tripping about $300 or $400 on a date, where the college student might have to save up for 2 years to get that kind of money. So it's all relative.
That's not what you said, though.
Yes, it is. Go back and listen to the tape. But anyway, I got to go. Okay, 651, what's your question or comment?
It's international.
No, see, Booby, I told you not to do that. I don't want to hear that.
I switched it up this time.
No, just start talking.
What? Huh? What'd you say?
Just what you got to say.
I ain't got nothing to say tonight, man. Just came online to flirt, you know what I'm saying? I thought we had something going on, man. And then you started ignoring me. I don't know. I need to know what's going on.
Well, we will talk about that after. Catch me on Facebook. I
right.
can yell at you in private.
All right. I can do that. Right. Continue your show.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right.
I'm going to beat him. Anyway, the number, if you have a question or comment, is 347-327-9215. Anyone unclear about what I said on this show, I would invite you to go back and listen to the podcast. I think I've been very clear in how I explained how this whole dating thing breaks down. And, it's not necessary to spend a bunch of money to impress a woman. I never said that. So I don't know where these people are getting all these ideas from. I specifically said women look for the energy that you spend and to show, to set up something where you guys get to have fun and get to do things that don't involve the stiffness of those formal dates where you're sitting there in dinner all, in stiff, fancy clothes, and, you're scared to spill something. You don't know which fork to use, all that kind of stuff. Who wants all that? Just let's do something casual and fun. All right? Now, that's what I'm talking about. So, anyway, let's move on here. I think when a man is stingy like that, basically he's selfish. He's going to be, these penny pincher types tend to be they keep their emotions and time and energy, like I said, to themselves. They are not going to go out of their way to do things to surprise you with little trinkets and things like that, because they're not thinking about you like that. They're not going to. There's no romance with those men. None. They're just completely focused on themselves, what they want, what they think, their money, their time, their energy. It's all about themselves. And that makes for a very unrewarding and lonely relationship for a woman, because what turns women on about men is, besides, their hair and deep voices and all the things, muscles and stuff like that, is the attachment that he has to her and the love that he shows her by his behavior and treatment. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Like, say a guy knows that a woman likes, let's just say lemon tarts or something. And he knows that she likes them from this one special bakery. Well, the bakery's way on the other side of town, but he had an appointment in that area, not too far from the bakery. He runs by there 5 minutes before the bakery closed. He picks her up a lemon tart, and then that night he surprises her with it after dinner. Okay, she's going to be so excited. Now, what did he spend? Let's just say $5, okay? But you know what I mean? It's that kind of little thoughtfulness that women look for. That is the stuff that creates the smile on her face for hours, sometimes days, depending on what the guy has done. It doesn't always cost a lot of money. And so, you know, this whole dating thing with guys focused on how much they spend, yeah, I mean, if you have some woman who's trying to, you know, get you to take her to some crazy price restaurant, you would do well to tell her, no, that's not what we're going to do. And then you tell her where you are going to go. And if that's not satisfactory, then you say, okay, well, you know what, we ain't going nowhere. Bye. And you leave her behind in the dust because she's not ready. But, you know, most women are not going to be like that. There are a few like that. I've, you know, met a few of them. But I'd say 99% of women are, you know, have more sense than that and would be very appreciative of a guy, you know, spending his money and showing her a good time. So the other thing is to remember that part of this giving, too, involves compliments, you know, flattery. The kinds of things like a woman will come to a guy and say, oh, you know, honey, what do you think about this dress? Okay, now she has to ask for that. But the guy who is tuned into a woman and more giving, she wouldn't have to ask him. He would say, oh, is that a new dress, baby? You look good. Look at my baby. You know, this kind of stuff. So she just all beaming, and okay, what did that cost him? You know, 3 seconds or 5 seconds of his time? That's all that women are looking for you to acknowledge and recognize it and pay attention to them. But men who are selfish, are clingy, they're not very generous with those kinds of things. You know, they tend to give their partners the cold shoulder a lot. They will often tell you that they're not going to give you gifts even. You know, I don't do Christmas. I don't do birthdays. You know, Valentine's Day was just a made-up holiday. Oh, and while we're on the subject, what about them brothers that play this game? I call it the breakup game. Okay, this is how it goes. You will hear from them March 1st through about maybe the end of October, maybe mid-October, just to be safe. And then suddenly you guys will have a fight and you'll break up. Now, you know why you broke up? He was with you all summer. Oh, it was all lovely. It was wonderful. Right around the 1st of October, he started acting a fool. And so you break up. Now, this is what happens. This is the deal. Halloween parties. You're expected to go out and get a little, you know, you're going to be a couple. People are going to invite you to parties. Oh, you're going to go out and around. And then the next holiday is what? Thanksgiving. What happens then? Families. You start going around, you know, people are looking at you, you're going to having dinner with this person, that person. Expectations are forming. Christmas. What does he have to do? He has to get you a gift. And this is when they don't want to do that. They don't want anything to do. They don't want to spend any money. They don't want to be around your family. They don't want anybody to think that maybe they're going to be around long term, you know, and be expected to give to you and to be a partner to you and you know, have to share their resources and things. Oh, no. That's out of the question. So they break up. So there's no Christmas gift, okay? New Year's, another couple time. If you're going to be out and about, you know, you're kissing under the, you know, the little thing strikes midnight, you kissing, you know, and everybody's looking, everybody's all happy and giggly. Okay, he's MIA for that. Valentine's Day, another couple's holiday. He's, again, required to give a gift, expected to give something, some flowers, a card, something. He doesn't want to do that either. So when the end of February, watch. I want all y'all to call me and tell me, or send me an email and tell me how many of your exes show back up around the 1st of March. It's just the biggest game. It's the biggest scam, and I've seen it like time and time again, thousands of times. And it's just really, really interesting how that works. Son, this is not for helpful dating tips. This is about figuring out how to not date cheap men and what that means to women. It's not about that. Those are other shows. But anyway, that's what I got to say on that particular aspect of the cheap dating issue. If you have a question or comment, you want to participate in the conversation, give a call to 347-327-9215. Area code 267. What's your question or comment?
Yeah, I have a comment. It goes two ways. Anyway, I'm following Al Hiring in the chat room. The first thing is just because the person doesn't spend time or money, they could be intimidated, because a lot of these women out here want someone who's not too nice for whatever reason, just to not be long-winded. And sometimes a guy doesn't want to be taken as, like someone in the chat room says, a trick or soft, or a lot of women tense up when the guy does something nice to them because they feel as though this guy is expecting something in return. And the second thing, and then you can answer for me, is what about guys who have money, who have all the time in the world? Like myself, I'm a business person, and I could use these women who just want roses and financial gifts and spend time, knowing in the back of my mind that that's what they want, they're needy, and eventually I could play them. While I'm waiting for sex with them, I could be sexing 3 other women. What do you think about that, those two things?
I think that, just like you wait for sex with her, she could be screwing somebody else too. So what? That's not the whole point. That's like irrelevant and off topic. We're not talking about all those kind of silly games. What I'm talking about with people is how to recognize when someone is doing the kind of stuff that you're talking about. And it's like, giving the gifts without having any kind of follow through. It's not just what you do, it's how you do it, and the words and the behavior have to match. If you're just giving the stuff and, giving her these little trinkets and you're not really showing her anything else of yourself, then what's the use of that? And you also have to remember, I'm talking about the first date, the first 2 or 3 dates maybe. So, you're going way left and deep off into some other left field conversation that really doesn't have anything to do with what I'm talking about tonight. Okay, area code 318, what's your question or comment?
I have a comment, and it's probably in left field too, but I hope that you at least hear me out. I don't think that dudes should pay for meals on dates. I think that, the best way to get to know a person, like if you take her to a fancy restaurant, she might put on her best and put on these airs, but I think dudes should keep their money in their pocket and save their money for their princes and women that they're serious about instead of going out purchasing these meals, because there are some women, keyword, that go out and that's all they do is use guys. And so a way as a test of their friendship or dateship or whatever you want to call it, of finding out where her heart is at. If he doesn't purchase this, if she loves talking to him, she'll go to a park. You got to start out, whether it be friendship, marriage, or whatever, thinking team. We're going to go to the park. You get the bologna, I'll get the bread. I get to this, you get to that. You get to this, I get to that. You got to start out. People that don't know about team efforts have to learn about team efforts. I'm married, but I do value a man that keeps his money in his pocket and doesn't spend it on every little princess that comes by. In my book, that's a good man. And that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Well, in my book, that's not. And I'll tell you why. You are going on the first date. You are not a partner with nobody. That's going where it's doing too much. And putting yourself in a position and putting him in a position where you're trotting out your wife's skills, I am firmly against that. The whole point here is to get to know each other. And if you want to come out the pocket and acting like you somebody's girlfriend or something, that's you doing too much. Calm down. Let him be the man. That means if he asks you out, that mofo needs to be paying for the date. I don't care how much it costs. Nobody ever says. See, people keep going all off on this left field track. I never said the man has to go and spend a lot of money on a dinner date. I keep saying this over and over. Hopefully it will sink in. I didn't say that. I keep saying this. You do the date that you can afford to do, whether it's lunch, whether it's bowling, whether it's tennis. I gave all kinds of examples here, and not one of them was going out to dinner to no expensive-ass restaurant. I never said that. So I don't know where you all are hearing this. You're hearing it in your own head. I never said those words. So, good Lord, people just cannot hear or something. Y'all clear your ears out. Secondly, well, no, that's it. I addressed the team thing. No, it's not a team. It's a first date. I don't know this fool. I might not want to be teams with him. He might turn out to be stupid. He might think I'm stupid. Whatever. I'm not going to trot out no wifely partnership skills on the first date. I'm trying to figure out who this man is and what he's all about. And if I like him and he likes me, then we might go on date number 2. That's it, date 2. We're not a partnership. We're not a team. We're not married. We're not boyfriend, girlfriend. We're nothing. 2 strangers going on a date. Area code 646, what's your question or comment?
I agree with you about what you just said. I was just listening to the lady that called earlier, and I don't know. I just think that today, in 2010, 2011, seems like we've forgotten, about courtship, about what dating is about, and it just seems like men seem to have this, and women too. We seem to think that we're asking too much, and it's wrong for us to expect a man to pay for a date. But that really, some things just shouldn't change, and that really should be the way it is. That's part of dating. It's part of courtship, where the man, it's not even about keeping his money in his pocket. There's a lot of there's a lot of things that go into a man paying for a date. When a man asks a woman out, when he pays for a date, there's a lot of things that go into those actions that I think we're sort of just putting all into one thing. He should keep his money in his pocket, but there's a lot more to it than that. And it's a rite of courtship. It's the steps that goes into what it shows the woman and what it shows the man. The man is showing, that I'm interested in you. I have the means to show my interest. I have the means to possibly, even though we're not down that line yet, possibly support you. I mean, we're not lower animals. We're humans. But even in nature, that's what happens. The animals, the male animals show that he is in a position to potentially take care of this woman, and he does that by showing that he can, pay for a date. So it's a lot of things that go into that I think we've left off in the first date, that we just sort of reduced to, well, he keep his money, I keep my money. We all work these days. That's not the point. So I just think that those are things that we've gotten away from.
Exactly. Well, thank you for that comment. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, caller 916, what's your question or comment?
Hey, Miss Heartbeat, this is Choco Divine. I haven't called in a while, but I'm just really shaking my head over the foolishness.
Girl, you.
I just think that folks get away from the whole intent of dating. And when I look at all the comments in the chat room, it just kind of reinforces what I'm seeing, that people are coming into it with ulterior motives and agendas and all of this instead of just the pure getting to know someone. The whole time you keep saying the fact that it's not about how much money you spend. Personally, what I see in dating right now is the fact that Kapt Solo hit it right on the head, that a lot of men don't even take the time to be creative. I've cut off situations where brothers didn't even want to take the time to plan out a first date. You ask me out, and then you're asking me, I don't know, what do you want to do? I don't know, what do you want to do? And so for me, I'm impressed if you can be creative and put some time and planning into it. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. I mean, you can try and figure out what the person likes and just go from there. A flip example, I mean, I actually took a guy out once on a date to a hockey game, which was something different for the both of us. My job basically gives out corporate suite tickets to different events, and it was something fun. You didn't have to pay a lot of money. And you want to get to know the person and experience the person in different social settings. How do they react around different people? How do they react to you? So, I mean, we're talking about first dates here, not all of the social and personal baggage that all these people are talking about that really a lot of black folks need counseling for. We're not talking about any of that. We're talking about getting to know someone in first date. So, I wish that we could just kind of move back to that. And like you said, a part of that process is looking at how a person treats you, and some of that is if you coming into it talking about I'm only going to spend $1 on this date, that's telling me something right there. You probably are dating 52 other women that you're trying to hit, and it's a numbers game. You're not interested in me as a woman. You're interested in some ass, and that's basically just the bottom line that I get from all that. So that's pretty much my comment on all that.
Yes, thank you, girl. You said it so eloquently. Much better than me.
Well, thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, caller 111. I assume someone's calling from a headphone. What's your question or comment?
Hey, Ms. Cooper, how are you?
Fine.
Kapt Solo.
Hey, what's happening, dude?
What's going on? All right, I'm going to address a couple of things that you brought up. Levels of person's finances will probably dictate what type of first date they may take somebody out on. There's no doubt about that. Obviously, like you said, somebody that's in school may take somebody out for ice cream or something like that, whereas somebody working down on Wall Street might take a chick out on a helicopter tour through, around Manhattan right quick.
There you go.
He can throw that kind of money around. He may have connections. It may not have cost him anything. So I'm saying to say that. So I agree with you on the whole. What a person's finances do dictate sometimes what they can do on a first date. Does it mean that some guys will try to impress some women? Yeah, of course. They'll throw more expensive dates out there, not necessarily because expensive dates cost more money. I mean, by definition they do. But you can get pretty elaborate on an expensive date sometime if you're creative with the money. So you can be creative broke, or you can be creative with money, and you can have a hell of a first date that way. But the bottom line, though, like you said, this is a first date. You're just trying to get to know each other. And, it doesn't have to be, a whole lot of money that you spend, but you darn sure have to be creative, and you should have had enough conversations with the woman on the phone, by the time you go out the first time, to where you have some idea, on what she's into and what she's not into. So I want to clear up one thing I said in the chat room. What I said about paying for the first date does let me set where we're going. What I mean by that is this. It's setting the pace. Sure, she's got some input on it. But what I mean by that is a lot of guys don't understand the importance of planning a date and being creative in the planning. A lot of times they do, like the woman just said. They will call them up and, let's go out this weekend. Okay, great. They don't bit more have an idea where they want to take the woman or anything else, and then they wind up letting the woman choose. And sometimes woman will hit you in the pocket, not necessarily intending to, but she'll throw something out there that and the guy gets ticked off. It's like, oh, she's trying to use me. She's trying to do this. Like, well, I don't know if she's trying to use you or not, but had you planned the date, you wouldn't be sitting here complaining about she picked someplace that was extremely expensive. Are there women out there that do that? Yeah. Oh, yeah, you have to be on the lookout for stuff like that. But it's still a first date. You're getting to know somebody. It should be something real simple, like you were saying, fun, pool, Dave and Buster's. I saw some good ones in the chat room. Stuff like that is great.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be some, we went to the Waldorf Astoria for, you can go to the Waldorf Astoria if you want just for coffee. I mean, it's not a bad idea. But still, it's a first date. It's just a first date. And the other thing I was going to say is about cheap men. A lot of times when a dude doesn't want to spend any money, a lot of times when they don't want to spend any money, it means that they are simply trying to get you into bed, and they want to make sure that they don't spend too much money because they're not romantically interested in you. It's just a sex thing, and that's why they're not paying. That's not why they're not trying to come up with anything. Forget expensive, darn near nothing, and not even creative. The whole objective is to get you into bed. So if you see that and you see what's going on, it's like, okay, well, you can pretty much assess where that guy is coming from, and you can move on. Again, I didn't say anything about spending a lot of money. I'm just saying that if a man is really that dead set on, he's only going to spend $1 for some water. Now, I'm going to say this about that dollar water thing. If you have talked to a woman a few times and she likes walking through the park, like I said, there's one in back home in Detroit. There's a fountain, real nice fountain. It's a real romantic spot. You can go pick up a dollar bottle at a concession cart or something and take a walk through the park if you want to do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if you're doing that for the sake of being cheap, that's when it becomes a problem. Like, I don't want to spend anything, so I think a dollar bottle of water and we'll go over here to the park. Well, maybe she doesn't want to go to the park. Maybe it's cold that day. So I'm saying you're not being creative if you're doing that.
Exactly. Well, let me ask you, since you're on the phone. Okay. The lady that called in talking about showing partnership from date one. What do you think about that concept?
Oh, come on. You know how I feel about that. I'm the big time control freak and everything else. No, I mean, seriously speaking, I would be offended if I took some woman out and she come. I've seen women do it, and that's all I can say. That's a difficult one to read. Some women may be sincere in coming out of their pocket trying to show that, they're 50% of this, from day one, which I don't know why you need to show that because it's the first date. The other thing that I don't get, the other type of woman who will do it, though, are women who want to show you how independent they are. In other words, your money doesn't mean anything. You ain't paying for me. You ain't doing this. You ain't doing that. I got this, da-da-da-da-da. You run into that. And depending on how traditional the guy is or how chivalrous he is, me, I would be offended at that. Okay, but by the same token, you got some women who will attempt to do something like that. They find out you're a traditional guy, and then I'm going to use you from now on. So it's like that. You don't need me to spend any money on anything. That's not the kind of woman you want to keep dating. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying these are the different pitfalls that you run into on first dates. So I'm saying that there's different types of men and there's different types of women that you're going to encounter on first dates. They're not always going to be, compatible.
Well, thank you. So you just made the most sense out of everybody. Now, of course, since you on the phone, the switchboard done lit up. Well, thanks, Kapt. You made some great, great comments. Voice of reason.
All right.
Talk to you later.
See you.
Bye-bye. Okay, let me see down here. I'm trying to see who can get these things in order. Sigh. Okay, 2234. Tro? Somebody? Tro?
Hello?
Yeah, that's you.
Hi, this is Saul.
Okay, I don't like that. It sounds like somebody silly. Okay, 843, what's your question or comment?
Well, hello, Miss Cooper. This is TSmitty. How are you today?
Well, hello, Mr. TSmitty. What's your question on or comment on today's subject?
At least you're nice to me today. That's a good thing. I'm messing with you. You're always nice to me. But, this whole dating thing, one, it's not as complicated as people make it out to be. Have I been called cheap? Yeah. But I've never been called broke. So the thing is, it's all about what you're looking for. And I say get to know these people. Talk to them. Ask these hard-hitting questions. Find out what they like to do. And then work from there. Because I feel like a man is a damn fool to take a woman to Spencer Place first date because she don't even know you yet. You need to have her know you first, then get out. Or like if you want to take her out, go bowling or something. Ice skating or something that could cost something. Because you gonna have to spend some kind of money, but you're not blowing the bank. But like I say, get to know that woman, find out that woman. Like women want to find a man fitting of her. Make sure the woman's fitting of you to spend your time with. And that's just both people got to do that. And sometimes it's just not going to work out. Sometimes you may take a woman out, a man may take a woman out, he's not feeling her. He may lose on cash. He may go out with a woman, she may not feel him. That's part of the deal. But at the same time, just get to know those people first. Talk. If you meet a woman on Friday, don't take her out the next day. Just get to know her first. And vice versa.
I agree. I think, people have really gotten confused about what dating is. And I feel like I'm, doing some remedial work here, trying to get people to understand the concept of a date. This is not your girlfriend. It's not your boyfriend. It's not your future husband or wife. This is just a complete stranger that you're trying to get to know. Slow your roll. Slow your roll. Talk to the person. And, this term, I never heard this term before I was on the Tom Joyner show a couple of months ago. This word vet. Everybody's talking about vetting people, vetting. I'm like, what the hell is that? But now I know. But so you can vet your dates over the phone before you even decide if you even want to go on a date with them.
Yeah, and the thing is, with the vet, I thought you were taking your dog somewhere, but, the thing is, like I try to come up with all these policies and that stuff. One, just tell the be accepting of the truth. That's first and foremost. And also, sometimes it may not work out for you because you can knock out getting to know that part of phase of knowing type of stuff by communicating, asking those questions. Because not too many people like the whole dating process because, like some people mentioned before, it's just too much of a chore. You got all these preconceived notions you got to deal with and all that crap. So my thing is just get to know these people, communicate, and then just go somewhere where it's fun. Y'all can both do stuff together, and then get to see how that person is then. Because when that person wants to be with you, he's not going to waste any time after a while. It's not going to take him 6 months. But that's where the communication coming at. And I'm not talking about texting. Picking up the phone and talking.
Okay. Well, thanks for calling in, my brother. Always welcome your calls. I got a full phone line. I'm going to pick up some more people before we get off the air. Thank you. Okay, 646, do you have another question or comment? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, do you have another question or comment?
I'm just listening. I think that Kapt Solo made some really good comments, and so did Choco Divine. And I also think TSmitty did as well. I think a lot of people act as though they don't even communicate or talk to anybody before the first date, and that's what the phone is for. You use the phone to talk. And hopefully you would have talked to that person a few times before you have the first date. But it seems like people are having a first date without even talking. Maybe they're texting every now and then, but you really should use the phone as a tool before you even decide if there's a first date that's warranted. Sometimes you can use the phone and realize, okay, this is not someone I want to spend any time with in person. So all this talk and all this rhetoric I'm hearing back and forth, is really redundant if you've not used the phone as a tool. You find out more about the person, what they like, what they don't like, and then your first date will be more successful if you vetted that person properly on the phone.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you for those comments and for the kudos to the two guys and to Choco. They did make some great comments.
Let me just add one more thing. I was looking in the chat room and I saw someone, it comes up and they're trying to be sneaky about it. They expect to be treated a certain way because they spend money on a woman. And I saw a couple of comments about that. We expect to be romanced and we expect a woman to have a certain demeanor, or we expect to be treated a certain way if we spend money. And I think that's very negative to say about, the woman has expectations too. And then some of the women say, well, that's why I don't want guys to spend money on me, because then they expect something. I say a guy that's going to treat a woman like a whore is going to has that mindset even before he asked her out. So whether he spends money on her or not has nothing to do with his mindset, because he's looking to get some cheap sex, and he's too cheap to go to Vegas or Nevada and go buy it. So he wants to treat a woman like a prostitute, and he would do that whether he spent money on her or not. So that still shouldn't take the place of what it means for a man to ask a woman out and pay for the date.
Thank you. And, guys, I'm not in the chat room, so I don't know who said that or under what context, but I do want to say this. When you take a woman out, you do it to try to get to know her as a person. If you are doing it with any expectation that she jump through hoops and behave like a marionette on a string, you need to date yourself, because that's not her role in your life. That's not her role there. If you want someone to perform some kind of little role for you, then you need to go pay a hooker. That's what they do. They will act out whatever fantasy you have in your mind for the right price. They will pretend to be the Queen of Sheba, dress up in a blue Bo Peep outfit, and lick your feet if that's what you want. But they'll be getting played for very, very well. A woman who's trying to find a mate and someone to love her, that's not what that's not what she's there for. You need to get a freaking clue. You're all out in left field and your mind is all messed up. Get yourself some therapy or something so you can get over whatever this resentment is you have about women, because you are like wrong, so wrong. I can't even figure out what's wrong with you, how wrong you are on that particular thing. Now, let me say this. I was looking through my notes, and I found something I thought would be interesting to share with you. There was a study done. Microsoft did it. MSN. They did this study to see what did women think about men that did not want to pay on a date. These are some of the comments. Women said, men are so low to make me pay. That's really small. Men should take pride in paying. Those are stingy men. They're good for nothing. As a woman, I would feel sad and unloved. I hate stingy men. He probably doesn't like me then. He's probably playing around with me. If you're not going to pay, then don't ask me out. And men should only ask women out when they can afford it. Those last two are definitely my position on it as well. And But then you see this study. There's a study done. I'm scrolling through my notes here to find it because I made notes. Published in 2009, a new study concludes that testosterone causes men essentially to be stingy. Isn't that interesting? According to the study, the hormone which makes men big and beefy also reduced their generosity. This woman at Whittier College in California, she's a neuroeconomist, whatever that is. They took 25 male grad students, so it's not like a huge study, but the gel that the guys put on contained testosterone. And then they tested their generosity. So they got a placebo cream, and then they got the one with the testosterone. So they tested them twice, and after each one, it was found that as much as almost 30% reduction in the generosity of the males in the study. So I thought that's pretty significant. So there may be something to that. I'm sure there'll have to be more studies done. But I was kind of surprised at the very large number of it. That's like a third of the males in the study became significantly more stingy after being dosed up with testosterone. So it's like, something we might need to look at. But anyway, we'll still have more time for a few more questions and comments, a few more calls. You can call in at 347-327-9215. Press 1 on your keypad, and I will take your call. This girl sent me a story about a guy that she knew. This guy is like, wow. He's an editor of a magazine. Says, he likes to invite her out for drinks and dinner at this little pub on Fridays. And every time the bill comes, he would look the other way. She used to like him until, she figured out what he was doing. So, she says she didn't really think too much about it because she can afford to pay for her stuff. But, she wondered why he never offered to at least pay the bill. And then what he would do, though, is, he would have ordered his food or snacks or whatever so that by the time she got there, he would already have paid for his stuff, so she orders her stuff. So then she has her own bill. He set it up that way intentionally. So he never, he's always inviting her out, but he never offered to pick up the tab for it. So it's like, interesting. And she said it was really interesting because he makes twice as much money as she does. So then she has a friend that he wants to meet, right? So she sets him up with the friend, which was a mistake. I mean, after someone behaved that way, there's no way I would introduce him to a friend of mine because he's a punk. There's no way that would happen. So her friend makes, good money, and she's, very pretty girl, and she's used to having male attention. So, she thinks the guy is attractive and interesting, so she, agrees to meet him. So this is what she writes. After meeting her, he arranges for all of us to meet at that same pub, and when she arrives, he offers to get her a glass of wine. And guess what? He continues speaking to her and conveniently forgets to ask the bartender to get her a drink. Did he forget? Was he so caught up in the conversation that it slipped his mind? Well, he ordered his beer, but he forgot her wine. My friend then proceeds to order her own drink, gulps it down, and walks out. As far as I'm concerned, he does not deserve her. If she's not worth an $8 glass of wine, he can jolly well look elsewhere. And there you go. That was her response to that guy in his selfish cheapness. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. So, if we look at these the relationships, the developing relationships, the possible relationships that we are trying to set up for ourselves by choosing a partner for a date. That's the selection process is pretty much the basis upon which a romance and then a marriage is created. You have to select a possible partner. You get to know them. You decide if that person will work or not. You may cast them aside. You may keep them and try a little more, whatever. But it all begins with the selection, asking that woman out, and going on a date. Every single relationship has started in that way. So, it's a necessary skill set for guys to have. If you want to have yourself, at some point, a wife and a family, you have to get over the fact that you're nervous about getting rejected, A, and then B, that you don't know what to do on a date. Kapt Solo, the guy who called and took his wife, I forgot his name, Leon, I think was his name, TSmitty, these guys that called, they had some great ideas for you guys. Maybe you can use those and kind of, play on them and come up with some ideas that might work for you in whatever area of the world you live in, and, the kinds of entertainment that are available to you. Because some places we have pool halls, then there's billiards, and, people play, table tennis in other parts of the world and country. So, but whatever it is, we're looking at some kind of, like, engaging activity that's not super expensive and that's fun. So you guys can have snacks while they're, little bar snacks, maybe a beer. You should be able to get out of the whole thing for less than $25 and have a really good time with that woman. So that's what we're looking for. You want to have a situation where you do not come across as being selfish and cheap, because selfish, cheap men cause a lot of problems in marriages. The woman will love you, and she keeps hoping that you're going to change. I don't know why women do that to themselves, though, because I constantly tell people, whatever way he is when you meet him, that's it. That's what you got. Take it or leave it. He's not really going to change. He may, but if he doesn't, can you stand him? If you can't stand him unless he changes, that's not your man. You have to love him exactly the way he is. Then if he changes, that's like, that's icing on the cake. But you still love the cake. And if you can't love the cake, then that's not your man. So, you get this guy. He has to be required to give type about, this man shortage and things. If they have a guy that pays attention to him and he says jump, she's just like, well, how high? Do I land on one foot, or you want me to land on both feet? You want me to pay? I'll pay. You want me to cook? I'll cook. So the guy then he's just a passenger. He's not really doing anything. He's not giving anything of himself. You're carrying the whole relationship on your back, jumping around, trying to, create romance and create dates and parties and anniversary celebrations and birthday things. You're doing too much. He's not doing anything, and you're not making him. And the way to do that is not in a way that's demanding and, if you don't do it, I'm going to leave you. This and that. That's not what you do. You just tell him, I expect that you are going to be a full emotional participant in this relationship. If you cannot give me the love and affection and support that I need to feel secure and to maintain a healthy relationship with you, we won't have one. And that's just it, because he has to understand that he has to put in a lot of himself into the relationship, and it starts on the very first date with him paying when he takes you out. He asks you, and he asks you out, then he needs to be the man and go ahead and, make that happen. And that's what I have to say on that. So, any other callers? You got about 2 minutes to talk. Let's see, 678. You got another quick question?
Oh, hey, Miss Harvey. This is Busy Vex. How you doing?
Hey, lady.
What's going on? Good. Well, pretty much it's a quick comment, actually. Just as I was saying in the chat rooms, I don't know. I'm a younger school, so as far as the whole you pay first thing, quite honestly, I feel as if, in my opinion, that's going to someone else's pocket. So I'm not going to order, or I'm not prepared to order and not pay for something that I can't pay for. I don't know, because I wouldn't want somebody doing that to me. We get out, you pay now. It's much more about that. Now, as far as the rules and whatnot, the standards, I do set them for everything else, like how I am to be treated, how you will act in my presence. But as far as, you pay because this is the first date, I don't necessarily agree with that. And I think that we need to focus on more things as far as quality and not quantity is concerned. That's just my opinion, humbly. I'm going to pay for my own ticket. If you want to pay, cool. But I'm not going to force you to pay simply because it's the first date. It's not even that serious, in my opinion.
Okay.
So, there you go.
All right, lady.
But thanks anyway. Love the show. Appreciate it.
Okay. Bye-bye. Well, everyone, I just want women to value themselves a little bit more than what I've been seeing happening in our society and in our community. I'm just really not feeling this need women have to make this stand and not allow men to show them what kind of man he can be as far as how he's going to treat you. It starts from the first date. And you need to let him show you that man.